I want to deal with an issue that I want persons to pay keen attention to. And I'm going to be using psychology, sociology, personal experience to navigate my thoughts and to forward a position that's reasoned reality based on standards, on norms, based on emotions. Can a woman properly grow her son to be a man? We need to understand. Let's begin this discussion by saying to be an individual in society, you're going to have to imitate. Let's go. To be an individual in society, to understand what your roles and responsibilities are, you're going to have to imitate. So when the boy is actually growing up, he's imitating his mother in those early years and his father in those early years to understand how to be and to treat a woman and how to be a man simultaneously. As a result, when the male is removed from that socialization process, all he understands is how to treat a female partially because he does not have the imitative skills of knowing how to be a man, except he goes out there and learn it because substantially your socialization process and most things that you learn in life are between 0 and 5 years old. Therefore, if that male is not grown and socialized or imitates a father being in the household or a male being in the household to teach him to be a male, it takes him a longer time to be a male, and psychologically he's going to be unadjusted as to what really it requires to be a male. And therefore, what he does is to, in trying to deal with the that's what explains the high incidence of suicide among males, and many of those males were grown without a father. The high rate of social deviance, the killing, the robberies, many of those males are grown without a father. So we need to understand clearly that imitation is extremely important for an individual to be and to understand what it means to be that gender. So the female requires the male in order to understand how to treat a male. The female also requires from her mother what it means to be a female. The male requires how to be a male and P is not even to be a male because you did not teach him that. Nature would have taught him to stand up and do that. So I am saying to you, females, understand carefully that it is your socialization that makes you into the social being. When there is a disparity in socialization or under socialization or mal socialization, we end up having situations like currently we're having in the whole world. If you notice carefully, it is many of the men who goes to war. It's many of the men who are engaged in warlike behavior. It's understanding, taking our Jamaican context, and we can also extend that to the world. Female-headed households are substantially higher than male-headed households. We need to understand clearly that most of the boys who are in prison are maladjusted. Many of the boys who are effeminate, weak, are because they were grown by the females. We don't need to be chauvinistic, or we don't need to be any other psychological phraseology. to understand the reality of what is actually going on. Males are by definition stronger than females, irrespective of what you want to say. Go and look at the biology of males and the biology of females. So therefore, if you are grown substantially by the females, you have to have a weaker psychology to deal with you. Except you're going to be socialized around the males. And for a number of males who are socialized by females and take a long time after the early years of socialization, which is critical to building a human psychologically and socially, then the challenge now arises. That maladjustment creates a problem for the individual, and some never recover. I was grown by a female, single mother, for most of my time up to about 9 years old, which means by early socialization was substantially female. I remember when my stepfather came into the household, I clearly remember the day when he actually, the night when he came there, my mother introduced this man, and then this man started living at the house. I learned little or nothing from that gentleman. Matter of fact, I learned from him what not to do. This gentleman was a drunkard, did not take care of his family, and I wondered what my mother was doing with this nerd, or nerd in the sense that alcohol was his forte, irresponsibility was his order of the day. Nerd in the sense of those things that he practiced so extensively that I wondered how my mother could have dealt with a man like this. And sometimes I would say to her, Mama, I get a man like this. At one point in time, I actually came and haven't seen what was going to my mother. He was beating my mother just about every day. And one day came home, one night came home and beat my mother. My brother was so angry. My brother held him. I was saying that I must kill him. And I said, no, 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 no. Let him go, leave him alone. And the following day, I went somewhere and moved my mother out of the house. And then I was about 16 years old, I think at the time. And when I went to rent a place, the landlord said to me, how old are you, sir? And I said to him, sir, I am 16. And he said, I can't deal with a 16-year-old child to rent the house. And I said, sir, if you don't rent me this place, my mother is going to die. Because my stepfather beat her last night. I'm tired of it. And I came to, and the gentleman said, what? And I told him what happened and how my brother and he actually fought the night. And my brother intended on killing him. My brother held him around his neck and was saying, come, Julia, we kill him. And I said, no, that's not the solution. And I went and moved her out. When the night I came back in, the morning I came back in, I told my mother, she said to me, how are you going to rent the place? And I said, I don't know, but we need to leave. And what my mother thought, a squirm that she wanted to stay there. And I said to her, Mom, why so weak? I looked at myself as a man then and was standing up. And my mother was so weak that I was wondering, I don't understand you. Why are you accepting this? What am I saying? It's a general thing of many women. They are the weaker vessel, and because they are the weaker vessel, they're going to do things unless sometimes the male stand up and be counted as a male. Normally, the male fall back into that trap. Remember fully, I was socialized fundamentally by my what? My mother. But I learned to be a male from going out there, watching other males, having cousins who are males, observing them, staying with them, being around a number of males, seeing how males operate. And boy, oh boy, to tell you the truth, I learned the hard way. I learned the hard way how to be a male. And there are many times it came as a burden to be a male. Whereas my friends, I could see my friends that grew up with their fathers, how easy it was for them to transition and that to do some things. And for me, it was hard. What I'm saying to you, the socialization process of being a male or female, there's psychology behind it, and there's a sociology behind it, which is why when the sociology is not occurring, which means the cultured perspective, the perspective as it relates to imitation, when that fails, the psychology behind it is not learned. And what a number of persons do not seem to understand, there's a psychology behind being a male, and there's a psychology behind being a female. There's a sociology behind being a male, and there's a sociology behind being a female. And a number of persons do not seem to understand. A number of women can't seem to get it. That all you are doing, you are trying your best to socialize the male into being a male, but you can't, because the psychology behind being a male will not be taught by you, because you cannot effectively teach the sociology behind being a male. And because you can't teach the imitative thing of being a male, at no point in time you'll ever properly socialize a male into being a male. Now, there was a grand discussion between two persons, or a number of persons, trying to understand what it means to be a male. And at one point, I could recognize why the female, the psychology behind being a female, is what she was using. A female is emotional, is a female, and therefore that part of her kicks in. And I can guarantee you, those who are listening to me, that these females who are speaking so emotionally were grown by only some substantive female between 0 and 5. I can guarantee, if you were to ask them, they were grown only by a female. So all they learn is the sociology and the psychology of being a female. Those who are grown by a male in the house, particularly daddy or even a stepfather, would understand how to temper the emotion and how to look at things. Look at the others so you can sort of see that. I want to play this clip for you to understand how difficult it is to be a male if you are grown by a female. Listen carefully to a female saying she taught her son to pee. Although teaching your son to pee is all it means to be a male. Let's go.
Statistically speaking, your sons and to a man.
But they will. That's like saying no man can raise a girl into a woman. But you gonna say that he can though, right? He can.
He definitely can.
I bet he can. And I bet my young boys gonna be top tier. And it's nothing y'all.
Ladies, this is good.
So why we nurturing this shit? We can't raise a man. We can't raise the girl. We can't raise the daughter. We can't raise the son. The man can raise the woman, the son, the daughter, take all the bills and do everything. And the woman is not capable to do shit.
Listen. You asked the question. I'm going to answer your question because you're just talking too much. I'll let you get it out. I'll let you get it out, but now you're just talking too much. And you're asking questions where prison, it leads to more women on stripper poles. It leads to all the degenerate behavior you see. It leads to gang violence and everything. Well, why are there gangs around? Because there's no fathers gather more than they listen to the money. That's why. Also, when we're having this discussion,
No, I want to pause this here and to say that not only do I support the fact that children listen substantially to daddy more than mommy, I have two experiences that I want to relate to you. I want to relate an experience to you that I have with my daughter, where she's a bright little girl. And on completing fifth form or secondary education, the first part of secondary education in Jamaica, she had, I think, 8 or 7 range one and 2 range twos, 2 range 2. And she had insisted with her mother, because she lived with her mother, and she insisted that she's not going to be going to sixth form because she wanted to do 1 year of private sixth form and to do what she would know, what you're doing 2 years, do it in 1 year, and then get to university to do medicine the following year. And her mother was trying to convince her to go there. She said, no, she's not doing it. And nobody can tell her what to do. And her mother called me and she said, I don't know what I'm to your daughter, but I want you to speak with her for me. And I can't forget, my daughter lives in Portmore, Waterford to be exact at the time. She's now a Canadian. Waterford she was living in the time. And I went to Portmore Mall, specifically to KFC in Portmore Mall. And she and I there sat down and we were speaking. And she raised her voice at me. And I said to her, who are you speaking with? Or to? Get a hold of yourself. Lower your voice. I asked her why she doesn't want to go to sixth form. And she told me what she wanted to say. And I said to her, please lower your voice. You can't talk to me like that. And then she did. And she told me that she's not going to do that. Nobody can get her to do that. And I asked her some simple questions. And I said that she needs to give me the answer. I said to her, so she's going to go to work. So I said, fine, I understand that. So I said, you're going to need work clothes because for most of your life, you were going to either school or church. So many of those clothes that you wear to church can't wear to work. I mean, the clothes that you wear when you were in sixth form, she was attending St. Andrew High School for girls. You can't wear those to work. So therefore, you're gonna need to have clothes, particularly for work. I said, we're gonna buy those. She said, Mommy, or you? And I said, but currently your mother sent you to me, which means that your mother is not gonna buy them, so I'm going to buy them. Do you agree with that? She said, yes. Then I said, who's gonna give you money to go to work? She said she's gonna need money to start with, maybe the first month for her to get paid. So I asked, who's gonna give you that? She said to me, either Mommy or you. And I said, So I said, guess what? If I'm gonna give you my money, I'm gonna tell you what my money is going to be spent. You want my money? She said, yes. I said, this is what my money is gonna spend. My money will be spent going to sixth form for 2 years. You can choose any high school that you want to go to sixth form because your grades are well. I think my daughter got 2 for chemistry and 2 for physics. But all the other subjects she got 1 for. 1 for math, 1 for English A, 1 for English B, 1 for I think Spanish, etc. Alright? So I said to her, most high schools will actually take you. So choose one. I said you wanted to go to Campion, choose Campion. You wanted to go to Immaculate, choose Immaculate. Or choose Wolmer's. Go and investigate those. Oh, me no go. That was her comment. I said to her, let me remind you again what that where my money is going to be spent. My money is going to be spent in sixth form for 2 years. Your mother sent you to me, which means that her money is going to be spent like how mine is going to be spent. And we are telling you that our money will only be spent for sixth form. What are you going to do? So right now, based on what I'm seeing, you can't work. Because our money won't be spent to buy work clothes and to give you money and to drop you at work. Because our money is only going to spend on sixth form. We'll take it to sixth form, buy your clothes, buy the books, give you all the materials, give you all the things that you need for sixth form. Not for work. How are you going to work? When she realized I was serious, she said to me, Daddy, anything you want. And I said, no, it's not anything I want. I'm telling you, I want my money to be spent. So your thing is to choose any sixth form. We went to a number of sixth forms, and because she didn't have 1 for physics and chemistry, they didn't take her at Campion or Immaculate or Wolmer's. So therefore, she went back to St. Andrew High School and did A levels. Did very well. I'm showing you how it is, how the male can discipline the child and the female having a difficulty in what the male does. After my daughter had 2 boys with somebody else, and they lived with me. And I remember whenever some things happen, as long as I'm home, they'll begin to apologize and start to do better without me hearing a thing what transpired. I have not said a word yet. Currently, my sons are 22 years old and celebrate the 22nd birthday on April 3rd, 2025. And they will come to me with some issues and lay it out to me, and we'll analyze it together and do things. Recently, my son sent to me that he was at work. He works at Pepsi. He was at work, the forklift operator. He was at work doing his work, came out of the forklift and accidentally bounced someone when he was coming through the cafeteria door, and turned around and told the gentleman sorry. He know the gentleman very well. Apparently, the guy did not like the fact that he bounced on him, but he said, "Daddy, it was all mistake. I didn't see him." The gentleman took up a bottle and hit him in the head. And he said, he turned around because I was a track person. My son is pretty quick as well. Played Manning Cup football as well at the school that he attended while he was attending high school. And said he ran him down and the guy dropped and he was over him. And when he was over him, he said, "It was a kill must kill you." And he said, when he looked at him, he said, I came to his mind when I came to his mind, he said, "But Daddy wouldn't want me to do anything wrong and lose my work and go to prison." And he said, he stepped over the gentleman and he said to him, "Get up, go on with your business. Me now go to prison or lose my job off because of you. But don't do it again." That tells me that he moved from the stage of being emotional, which would have been socialized to him by his mother, to being critical, which would have been the era of his father. And he made the decision based on that. What am I saying to you? Both socialization occurred on the same day, and psychology. The emotional aspect of him kicked in, and the critical aspect of him kicked in. It was a critical aspect of him that did not let him carry out the emotional aspect, which had been taught by his mother. And he was able to walk away. And I said to him, you are now a man. What am I saying to you? The discipline aspect of males that both a female and a male gets is substantial enough to let the female understand her role as being a female, and to let the male understand his role as being a male, as well as the other things. The discipline that he's going to get is going to be coming from his father. The toughness he's going to get is going to come from his father. How he's going to treat a woman is going to be coming substantially from being father and aspect of being from his mother. So when a female is trying to understand what it means to be a male, you can't. You don't understand because you're substantially emotional. And what is being displayed in this clip is the emotional aspect of being a female that would have been socialized by your mother and would have been indoctrinated to you by your mother. And the psychology of the sociology would be in you and being displayed on screen right here. Let's continue. Look at the behavior of the females and then you'll understand the psychology of the sociology of being a female.
And you keep looking at things very anecdotally and say that we're speaking specifically about you or anything. No, she's asking these questions and she's posing these questions in general. Why do black people in general, right? Then you start bringing other races in there. Let me finish. Charlie, let me finish. Listen, Charlie, if you can't do that. Charlie, you keep cutting off, you got to go. I'm going to have to kick you off if you keep cutting off because I let you get it out, but now you are lacking decorum, right? So to explain things to you in more detail, one of the reasons why you can never raise your son into a man is because you are a woman. The only way a boy can become a man is through a father. The other way is discovering it on his own. Most of these men out here, that don't have any fathers, they're not real men. The ones that are men that don't have any fathers are real men. They discovered it on their own. And guess what? Would you want your son to discover it on his own to become a man? It's a lot of ups and downs because he never had an example to learn from. A wise person learns from other people's mistakes. So the father is there to instill certain things into the son to let him know, like, hey, don't do this because I did those things before. I bumped my head. I don't want you to bump your head. Do you get what I'm saying? You haven't lived the male experience. You lived a female experience, which is...
No, let's look at something here. A female is saying she has lived a male experience. How? How you can live a male experience in a world that has a clear demarcation between the roles of men and the role of women, and what a male goes through and what a female goes through. How does a female live the male experience to teach her son to be a male? Do you see the emotional aspect of her? This is what I'm talking about. The psychology of the sociology of being a female, groomed by a female to be a female. Then you can only be a female by being a female. That is something a number of persons to look at, and something that many persons can't seem to understand. And that's why a number of boys who will go and kill and do other social deviant behavior because they were groomed by a female. All they have is the emotional aspect of them. Look at the clear example of this female and these females you sort of see. I'm going to put the description that you can actually continue watching the clip. But what I'm saying to you, there's a psychology and a sociology in grooming an individual to be a socially acceptable person in society. And when the psychology and sociology of being groomed by both a male and female is not there, a child will not be properly groomed and grown to be the male and the female that society expects him to be. Like, share, and subscribe to my channel as I continue to provide trust information for you to use to make decisions. Let's have a discussion on this one.